might be all that you get. Yeah, I guess this might well be it. Well, heaven knows I've
Scarves and Spikes Match Reaction Podcast. We're going to take a look back at Atlanta United's 2-0 loss to the New England Revolution. Sydney and Henry with you. Tommy maybe a little bit later, but Henry, we were just talking before the show. I mean, we did our 3 takeaways right after the match, but are there any other storylines that we want to hit on that we didn't get a chance to hit on at that point? What do you
I
think
mean,
here?
to be fair, there's not a lot to talk about this game in particular. It was disappointing. It was crap. It was boring. That's pretty much every game at this point. Oh, wait, what's this?
Uh-oh.
The wooden spoon is in our nightmares now. We thought it was a joke. You know, we knew things were bad. We didn't think they were wooden spoon bad. But suddenly, the LA Galaxy destroys Sporting Kansas City 4-1 last night, and that nightmare is much closer to reality than we initially thought. In fact, it is 3 points, aka an LA Galaxy win away from Atlanta United potentially winning the Shield. Or not the Shield, sorry, the Spoon.
The Shield. I wish.
Ha! Freudian slip.
Do you realize what this means, though? The decision day against DC United on
it's
October
a cup final.
Could be.
What has been
final?
It is potentially the first cup final in history where neither team wants to lift the trophy.
Right.
I don't know about you, but I think they should actually have, like, you know how like the Champions League or World Cup finals, they have the trophy like on the pitch. They should bring the wooden spoon out on the pitch for this game. That would be fantastic.
Run it over
the trophy lift at the end.
Yeah, exactly. I was about to say that. The trophy lift from the supporters section, see what happens.
Oh, yeah.
No, but I mean, we laugh, we joke, but it's sad that it's kind of the state of Atlanta United right now that we're talking about. 3 matches from the season ending. We're talking about wooden spoon, and that's just the sad state of affairs that Atlanta United are in right now. I mean, one knockoff effect, Henry, that we can definitely touch on is Super Draft. I mean, this could be a first overall pick in the Super Draft that you play for at this point. I say that tongue in cheek. I know Greg Gowder, our LA United 2/Academy guru, is watching us live right now. He'll have something to say about that. But apparently there's a lot of talent at the college ranks that Atlanta United could get. So maybe that's something that you can hang your hat on, I guess. Going down the stretch here this season. That's where you are right now.
Plus is that Jaden Hibbert was a first-round draft pick a couple years back. So, I mean, and there are examples of several top draft picks that have gone on to be really good MLS players, right? So it's not out of the realm of possibility that could actually end up being a good thing. I just don't know. It's hard to feel good about the situation that this club is in right now, given the offseason that they had, the most highly anticipated offseason of any MLS club, and then potentially end up being dead last. That is, I mean, that is the disappointment of the season. Forget LA Galaxy having their, no wins in 16 games or 17 or whatever. The disappointment of 2025 is Atlanta United.
For what it's worth, I kind of joked about the Super Draft. Atlanta United have had a run of success as far as the draft is concerned. So, maybe that's something that you could say that's promising. I guess, I don't know. I use promising in a very liberal way here, but that's pretty much where you are right now. You're at a spot where you don't want to be, is at the bottom of the standings. But the fruits of that are you get an opportunity to get a player in the Super Draft, and I'm sure we'll talk about that further down the line. But no, it is it's disappointing. It's sad, and I wrote about it on scarvesandspikes.com. Atlanta United, Henry, have been bad or mediocre longer than they've been good, and that's It's very difficult to say, but it's true. I mean, that's just where we are right now.
Yeah. I don't really know what to add on to that. It's just
Yeah.
I wish there was a light at the end of the tunnel. I wish I could say that, even this off season that I am feeling good about the team's chances of, improving and looking better in 2026. But honestly, I'm not. I mean, I don't know what can realistically change in this offseason that would make this team significantly better than it has been this season. You don't have any open DP slots. If by some miracle you do get one
Yeah.
open, it comes down to, you know, getting the right player in the right position. And it feels like this club and its scouting and its acquisitions, departments have consistently underdelivered in that aspect in
Yeah.
recent seasons. So I don't know, man. It just feels bad.
And you're talking about DPS. I mean, you can't buy down any DPS at this point. I mean, you don't have the ability to. You just can't. So even if you wanted to, even if you wanted to put some TAM toward opening up a DP slot, you can't do that. The only kind of route you have, I guess, to getting sort of a productive player is using a U22 slot, U22 slots, and the team's sort of been lukewarm to the idea of doing that. But if that's the opportunity you have, you should take it. Of course, Mascara is taking up a U22 spot, even though he is on loan right now to Millonarios. And if you obviously sell him to Millonarios or another club, that spot opens up. So you have an opportunity there. But again, based on what this club has said and felt about U22s, I'm not so sure that's the route that they will take. I do invite them to do that, though. I do think they should. Look in South America, look in maybe England, middle, sort of a second division club, Europe or something like that, get a young up and comer where yes, you're taking a risk, but I feel like you're taking a risk to not bring a player over who has promise and who could grow. And yeah, I would want to see the club do that, and I'm sure we'll talk about it obviously further down the line here after the season. But that's something if I were Chris Henderson or Garth Lagerwey, I would really consider is using those U22 spots and using them on players where you feel good about, and maybe no, they aren't in your prime age range that you prefer, but they're at least players that have a massive upside and can produce at a high level for hopefully years to come.
Yeah, and that's part of it. The roster building and the balancing. Your prime age, kind of starting core, and then your promising youngsters. And obviously, you just mentioned the U22s, but also your academy kids, your twos kids. Shout out to the twos, by the way,
Yeah.
beating Chicago Fire 2, I believe it was 5-2
Yep.
earlier today. They are getting closer and closer to a historic season, potentially making the playoffs for the first time ever.
Mhm.
So at least
One
you
match
have
left.
you have one thing to look forward
Yeah.
to as far as Atlanta United here. But yeah, they're playing some wonderful soccer, some very promising players coming up through there that hopefully we'll see some first team action
Yeah.
sometime in the near future. So you've got promising young players there, and yeah, that's part of it. But I think also it's most importantly from the first team perspective, you have to really think long and hard about, is the guy in charge the right guy to lead this team forward,
Mhm.
right? Is Ronnie Dyla the guy you're going to stick with in going into 2026? And so far, the answer for this front office has been yes. I don't know. I'm not convinced about it. I
Mm.
I really don't know. I feel like every game it's kind of showing us that he's kind of losing the locker room if he hasn't lost it already.
Yeah.
It feels like the messages are all the same, in that the same problems that were plaguing this team in January, February, March are the same problems that he's having now. And it seems like he doesn't know how to fix it. Right. And he's brought in some of his folks. Maybe you could say, okay, give him another transfer window, bring him some more of his folks, build a team that's more
Mhm.
his, whatever that may or may not work. but this season he has shown to consistently underperform with a roster that was, I mean, we're talking about smashing the transfer record for the fourth time in
Right.
this club's history, right? Spending like almost $50 million between, this offseason and last summer in your DPs, right? And your other attacking talent. Um, and still, not even like this is worse than 2022 when you had like four guys on the season-ending injury list. One of them including Miles Robinson, who at that time was one of the best defenders in MLS.
Yeah.
Right. So it's just I don't know that Ronnie Dyla is the right guy, and I think that's something that the club has to look really long and hard at because it starts there. And if you do decide that he's the guy and you go in on him for 2026, I mean, how much patience are you going to have with him? You would expect him to have a short leash, and we've talked about that.
Yeah.
And on the flip side of that, a point that Tommy's brought up, is it a good idea to go in on a season saying, okay, this manager is going to have X amount of games to prove himself. This is the leash that we're giving them.
Especially with the lame duck, right?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
does the manager work when it seems like the front office doesn't have as much faith in him? If the front office doesn't have as much faith in him, then why is he even in the role in the first place? Right?
Yeah. Yeah. And, I've kind of said this numerous times here, and I'm kind of being talked out of it, if you bring him back 2026, you at least have his players on the roster. But if he fails with his players on the roster, right, and he gets fired, you sort of beginning this vicious cycle of, okay, you have players that are running from the previous coach that you have to work with, sort of what Ronnie Dowley has had to do to an extent. But the thing that really kind of frustrated me, Henry, though, is, and this is just expounding upon it through takeaway segment that we did after the match is, you're saying that you're soft and you call out, well, in a positive way, but you mentioned players like Juan Berracal, Steven Alzate, Anea Mihai, and Bartek Slish, who are players that quote unquote have it in their locker, have that determination, that attitude, that personality that he's looking for, right? Of course, three of those players I just mentioned, right? You were mentioning this the other day, I feel like. Three of those players were brought in this summer. So you really run the risk. Maybe in Riley Dyla's mind, he's thinking, hey, I'm motivating these players. You really run the risk of driving a wedge between yourself and the players and creating battle lines between players, between your guys and not your guys, right? And that's a very dangerous game to play. It sows seeds of favoritism. It, again, runs the risk of, driving a wedge and creating factions in the locker room. And again, I'm not behind closed doors metaphorically, but that's just, the risk you run. And if I'm Ryan Dyla, if you come back in 2026, I'm very careful with my messaging. I'm very careful with what I'm saying to this team, calling them soft repeatedly. It obviously isn't working because you're getting the results that we saw against New England, right? So it's you're kind of playing a no-win game here,
And not
which
just
is
the
what I
results, right?
think.
It's the performances too.
Yeah,
Because if it was, oh, it's an unlucky 1-0, 2-1, whatever loss, right? Like maybe a few chances didn't go your way, but you looked better. I don't think I can say that Atlanta United looked better in this game. I mean, there were some
0.6
stretches.
xG.
There were some stretches in this game where it looked like they were trying to make things happen, but at the end of the day, this team just doesn't have the ideas in the final third to create danger. And then defensively, they give up way too much, right? They
Yeah,
have so many just giveaways and they have trouble building out from the back. And it's like, these are tactics that y'all have been using since February, right?
right.
That y'all have been drilling since preseason started in January. Some of y'all are new additions, so I can understand maybe not being up to speed, but I mean, in this starting 11, there were what, two players who were added in the summer?
No,
That shouldn't that should not affect your tactical understanding, that the entire squad's tactical understanding that much, right? I would think.
no,
So I don't know. Either the message is not getting through or the tactics just are not do not equip this squad well enough to perform well in MLS and to
Yeah.
uh, succeed in this league, because we see it and it just doesn't look good. That they don't know, you know, just what is happening, because
Yeah.
I had to rewatch this game for me to write my column, my risers and fallers, and this was one of the games that I just did not want to rewatch, but I did it anyway.
You and a
Um,
lot of other people, I feel like.
oh yeah, but basically, one of the things that I noticed is a lot of this attack, right? Miggy, there came a point in the summer where Miggy kind of stopped drifting inside as much, and he kind of started sticking to the wing, especially when he was on the right side.
Mm,
He would stick more to the wing and kind of listen in that aspect. Uh, that completely went away in this game. He was back to free roaming. He was in the middle a lot,
mm,
and that's fine because that's where he finds the ball. That's where he's able to influence the game a lot more. He created 7 chances in this game, which is significant. That is huge, and one of the reasons that I think he should be the 10.
yeah.
But I mean, you do that and you kind of destabilize the team a little bit. What does that cause, right? It causes Pedro Amador to have to push up further, right? Because he has to give you width if Miggy isn't there. And so if
Yeah.
Pedro Amador is pushing all the way up,
And Sleesh too,
and Sleesh
to
too,
an extent.
that leaves you exposed on that side, right? That means Juan Baracol has to kind of stretch over. Him and Stian Gregerson have to kind of stretch
Yeah.
themselves on that back line to cover the spaces that are being left. And we've seen that neither of those two are particularly fast. That has caused some issues when balls are played over the top, when you have Matt Turner distributing the ball long and having players go chase it. I think Ronnie Dyla even talked about it in the post-match presser, that was one of the things that they analyzed. And guess what? That is how New England scores. It's
Mm,
a long ball. That's, I believe, the second goal is a long ball, just distribution that they chase, and then
yeah.
that's where that goal comes off of. And the other one is a transition movement, right? You regain the ball off a bad giveaway, and you go and score. And this team is atrocious at defending in transition, precisely because that back line lacks a lot of pace. And when you push your wing backs forward, it exposes you so much at the back because you don't have enough numbers to cover when their attack comes in. So
Yeah.
there's just a lot of nuances in that sense, that of why some of these tactics aren't working or why some of these players are struggling in that sense. And yeah, it's just it's unfortunate that these things are happening at this point in the season. But I mean, I don't know. This is supposed to be preseason 2026. I'm
Yeah.
not seeing it. You're seeing the same guys, the same tired lineups.
Yeah.
I don't buy it.
So here's you talk about that. Here's something that Dylas said. I'm pulling the quote sheet so I don't misquote him, but I think it was Jason who asked him, or somebody asked him about you know it might have even been me who asked him, why does this keep happening? And he said something to the effect of, maybe you're too naive, you're putting out too many attacking players, at the same time. And I'm like, thinking in my mind, you're the manager, it's your job to, put this thing
Did he just
together,
call himself
right?
naive?
Well, let me get the quote. Let me get the quote because I don't want to again misquote him. But I asked him, why is why is this team still soft? Essentially, 31 matches into the season. Um, he said, if there are too many players on the pitch that are similar, and what I say when I mean soft, it's a defense taking, digging, winning challenges that has to be at the bottom. And then he says it's maybe too brave or naive to play too many offensive players at the same time when you're playing away, but you want to score goals. I mean, it's your job though to put this team together. It's your job to put out a lineup that you feel can win. And then he said, at home you can be a little bit more offensive, but at the same time you have to be mindful of where you are in this, well, not in the standings, but to be mindful of how this team has played, and you have to be mindful that you're playing to this team's strengths. And the example that you gave, isn't playing to the team's strengths. It's not playing to the team's tactical abilities, right? So that's another thing that really stuck out about what Dyla said. And then, like I said, again, just the soft and the team wanted more. I mean, come on, that's 31 matches in. You were still talking about this. It is sad. It's embarrassing. We're still having these conversations that we've had Henry too many times about Atlanta United in 2025. Yes, some of that lies on the players, but a lot of it lies on the manager too. I mean, he says it's not easy to teach things like not being soft. But yeah, you're the manager, and while part of that does lie on the players, it's your job as a manager to motivate this team to develop, to grow, to learn from their mistakes, and not make them over and over again. And sitting here today, I can't say that he's done that to the extent that he needs to do it.
Exactly. And it's crazy that this team, Sans, Miggy, and Latte Lot, and a few other guys that they acquired, was able to miraculously get into the playoffs last season, beat out the number 1 seed that was heavily favored to win the whole dang thing, and then hold a decent Orlando City side to 1 goal, and what was kind of an unlucky kind of loss for them in that sense. But that team did much more in the playoffs last season than they should have by all accounts, right? No one expected them to do what they did. And that was theoretically, a worse team than what we have now.
Yeah.
Right? Than what we are seeing now. It is at least $40 million worse.
I
will say that much. So I don't know. It feels like there is egg on the face of the Atlanta United front office for potentially moving on from Rob Valentino, not giving him a full season of a chance after, uh, giving this team such a memorable playoff series, a playoff upset. And I don't know, man. I feel like he had to have some motivational factor, and you saw it right with like FEA and all these things. Like the players were happy and excited.
Yeah.
Like that's the thing that being a manager in professional soccer is there's so many facets to it, and the tactical aspect is certainly one of them, right? The developing players, the young players especially, that is another. But man, the motivation and the man management, that is an important part of it too. And I don't know that Ronnie Dyla has that part down.
Here, I agree on Valentino to an extent. It's where I kind of push back is that you run the risk of, you pick your first year head coach in the 2025 based on, yes, you want beat Miami in the playoffs, which is excellent. You got to face Orlando City in the conference semifinals, and that was an accomplishment of itself. Like you said, the team should have been in that position in the first place. But here's the thing: you don't want to, if you're Ronnie Garth Lagerway, you don't want to make that decision based on emotion, and you don't want to make that decision based on just from a sample size of a sheer sample size. You want to make the decision based on that. That being said, there's credence to the fact that Rob Valentino is a much better motivator than Ronnie Dyla has been.
At the very least, it looks like he had the locker room.
Yeah, no, right? I don't disagree.
Whereas at this point, it kind of feels like the players are just kind of doing what they're doing.
No, I agree with you, and I can see the argument for not bringing in Ron Valentino permanently. And what's going to happen in 2026? He's going to get hired somewhere. He's going to have success, and Atlanta fans will be even more pissed off at Lagerway than they are right now. Again, I can see the argument against bringing him in permanently, but I'm starting to see like the arguments for bringing him in permanently from a standpoint where he was able to capture the locker room when it was fractured, when it was at a low point after the firing of Gonzalo Pineda. And then moving onwards, you're close to not making the playoffs. You turn things around. You get a VAR decision called in your favor, gets you to the playoffs. You beat Miami, which you shouldn't have done. You, like you said, give a goal to Orlando. I don't know if Ronnie Dyla in the same situation, you don't make it playoffs, obviously, but, if Ronnie Dyla's in that situation, I don't know if that happens, to be honest with you. That's not me saying they should have brought in Dyla, but I don't know. I feel like from a motivational standpoint, from a management standpoint, I feel like Valentino has shown to be better than Dylan in that regard. Now, what does that mean for development? Can he develop players? Can he, you know, build players, especially younger players, to get them performing at high levels? That's another story. But from a pure motivational standpoint, he was able to get them there. Now, when that wears off, though, is the problem. When it all wears off, when it all goes away, what do you do then? And if he struggles, that's another question you have to ask yourself: is he the manager for us? So, I mean, this is all hypotheticals. This is all what ifs, but that's just sort of the both that Atlanta United I feel like would have been in if they brought in Valentino permanently. But I can see the argument for, especially how Atlanta United has been playing in 2025.
Yeah, and again, as of 9:26 p.m. Eastern Time on Sunday, September 28th, 2025, Ronnie Dyla is still the manager of Atlanta United.
Yeah.
And there doesn't seem to be any indication that he will be fired. I don't know if anything in these last 3 games is going to change that. I don't know if the decision has been made and they just haven't pulled the trigger yet, which seems equally dumb. But it looks like everything is indicating so far that he will be the manager going into 2026. And so we kind of have no choice but to hope that something clicks over this offseason, that something clicks with this group in preseason, and that they have like renewed faith, or that, I don't know, Ronnie Dyla gets a crash course from Ted Lasso on how to motivate people. Something to that extent. But
hey, bring
yeah,
in Ted Lasso to coach the team.
I would take it, honestly. But yeah, that's kind of some of the stuff that I think that it feels weird to be in this situation, and especially because next weekend, Sydney,
Yeah.
they face LAFC.
Yeah.
And LAFC has scored 3 goals in each of their past 4 or 5 games.
It's gonna be a long night, won't it be?
Benny Buanga and Hyunmin Son on absolute tears. They're probably going to score 7 goals in the first half.
In the first half, not the whole entire match. In the first half.
I mean, they conceded 5 to Columbus. Is it really hard to believe that LAFC can score 7 in one half?
Watch it be 1-1 or something like that.
Honestly, I would take that. That would be the weirdest result, but I would take
it. Right. No, absolutely. Absolutely. Scarvesandspikes.com, Henry, is where you can find Atlanta United news, analysis, and opinion. Your Risers and Fallers is coming out in the next few days here, so we'll be on the lookout for that. Our match reactions, first reaction after the match, our match recaps, our pre-match coverage is on scarvesandspikes.com, so go there and check it out. Patreon.com/scarvesandspikes is how you could support us financially to bring you the best Atlanta United coverage available. We have 3 tiers, and all 3 tiers get you access to our Discord channel where you can chat with other Atlanta United fans. If you're watching on YouTube, thanks so much for watching. Please subscribe. Please like our channel. Please share our content. Let us know, or let everyone you know about us, about Scarves and Spikes, and what we are doing. We are also on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and iHeart. So if you're listening there, we're live Sunday nights, 9 p.m. Eastern, Monday nights, 9 p.m. Eastern with MLS Monday, Wednesday night, 7 p.m. Eastern, and of course, before every Atlanta United match. So join us live on YouTube if you can. And also, obviously, if you're listening, please leave a review. Leave us a 5-star review. Leave us any feedback that you can. We do appreciate it. We appreciate you watching and listening. And yeah, thanks so much, even in the midst of a very difficult season. Tommy, I promised, would be joining us here shortly. And
only if it's good.
No. Well,
if
no,
it's a
we
good
want
review.
We want all kinds of feedback, constructive feedback.
No, only if it's good. Only if it's good about me. If it's just shut him up, keep it to yourselves. Write it on a bathroom wall. Whatever you want to do, just leave me out of it.
Yeah. Are you sure? We want constructive feedback,
Okay.
not bad feedback. Not these guys suck or anything like that.
If you like the haircut, leave a review on go write a review of the haircut. I would appreciate it.
So you promised that you had some insight on the match. What is that insight? What gems would you like to share about
Well,
this previous match?
gems. You
Yeah.
know I'm coming in. Well, I'm sorry I'm late. I was making cookies upstairs and I had to throw them back in the oven because they were too soft.
But
Thank you. Thank you all. Have a good night, and I will see you on Wednesdays for Scarves and Spikes on Wednesday.
Tommy's gone. Tommy's back. Tommy. I have to know. Do you want it as much as us?
What?
It.
It.
Do you have it?
Whatever it is.
You have it in your locker room.
Do you want it more than they do?
After 3 years.
Well, I saw your reel. I saw the reel that you guys did, and it's very difficult to. I mean, we've been saying this for a while, and it's just he keeps adding on to it. It's like, okay, how many times do you have to keep saying the same thing over and over? But it goes back to the same thing. Like, well, is everybody like in the front office and Ronnie Dyla included? Are they all just set that this roster is just not built the way that it needs to be built, and they need to get rid of all these soft players here? Is that what you're telling the fan base, and you're going to tell us all at the end of the year? And I think I said this on Wednesday when the three of us were talking. Is that what is going to be that conversation in this results world that we're living in? That Chris Henderson said it's a results driven business. That you are going to tell us that why Ronnie Dyla should be continuing be the coach of Atlanta United, because you are going to need to sell that to everybody here. And you're going to need to keep continuing to talk about it in January when the players all come back. What makes this roster different from last year's roster? If Ronnie Dyla is still in charge, and then what's going to happen if they go 0-1? What happens if they go 0-2? Like, these are just things that you have to prep for, and it's what the front office is. They have to think about these things too, because this is a huge decider of their jobs going forward into 2027. Like, I mean, it's crazy to think that we're almost to 2027, but we are, and that is going to be a thing that's going to happen. Is because you're I've said it before, and I've said it a ton of times. Like, the front office is going to look very badly upon them if we do the scenario we talked about on Wednesday, where he's fired in 5 weeks, 7 weeks there, and you're basically throwing your season away. And it's a risk. Look, it's a risk that front offices of all sporting, of like all sports have to do, is when you have a coach and like you don't want to get rid of them. But that's for a lot of. I mean, again, you go back to it. Like, this is supposed to be a top team in the league, and they are a top team when it comes to spenders. So when you are a top team in spenders, you have a little bit higher of expectations. Whoa, I zoomed in on myself on accident. Sorry, guys. But that's something that you have to have that conversation about. Is what do you if you do this, what are the consequences? Well, the consequence could be that you take this season, you buy players that you want for Ronnie Dyla. Ronnie Dyla wants to do this system. 5 games in, you fire him. Now what?
Yeah. No, exactly.
Because your season could be potentially lost. Then you're going to have to tell everybody, well, we need to get the players in that this new manager wants. And unfortunately, the guys that we just signed a couple weeks or a couple months ago, they don't really fit this new style that we have. So we got to figure this out. We can't just start cutting everybody and hoping that it's good. And that's just where this is going to be the conversation now for the next 3 weeks, as we get to LAFC, we get to Miami, we get to DC, depending on what these results are. But if they're as bad as I think they're going to be, and especially, I at least saw the highlights of this game.
Yeah.
Which
highlights?
There wasn't much, but it looked like a lifeless team there, and it's going to be difficult. And I see Harry put in the chat, does Arthur Blank care? I do think that Arthur Blank cares. And
Yeah.
Cindy, I think we talked about it 2 weeks ago about how Arthur Blank's son, it was one of the reasons why he got this team was because his kids love soccer, and he wanted to help that, and eventually his son is going to take over the business.
Yeah. No,
His
exactly.
son is going to. So I absolutely think that the Blank family cares about this team. The question is when do they make the hard decisions that you need to make are going to be very difficult here. And he's
Right.
trusting Garth Lagerwey, who just came back, which just I don't know if you guys mentioned it, but like
Yeah. No.
welcome back, Garth.
Yeah.
Absolutely
Absolutely.
here. And now him and Chris are together, and I'm sure there's been a text thread even when Garth wasn't working about like
Yeah. He's
what do
been
we do
consulting with the
here?
team. Yeah. He's been consulting with them. To your point.
What do you do in this situation? Because there's really at the end of this year, there's no win. There's no win in here because you got to go out and find a manager. You're going to get criticized. Why didn't this happen sooner? I mean, that would be my first question, and I wouldn't be shocked if Doug asked that. The first thing
Yeah.
is like, all right, there's 3 weeks left in the season.
Why now?
Why now?
Yeah.
Absolutely. And if not, then I will ask one of you two gentlemen then to ask that question
Or
and be
Tyler.
Doug to it. There that the what why now? Why did it take so long? And that's that it's going to be this is going to be a very, very awkward offseason
Yeah.
if Ronnie Dyla is still the manager. It's going to be very awkward, I think, for that front office because and we've talked about the how do you sell it to everyone else, but man, they've all got to be super like you're putting your jobs on the line for this guy.
Yeah.
You're sticking up for him. I don't know. Ronnie hasn't shown me anything to say I'm going to stick my neck out for you and give you to the another year. I've seen nothing for that.
And we talked about earlier. Henry and I talked about it, Tommy. You're pretty much writing a check you're gonna have to cash pretty quickly in 2026, considering if you come back, you're gonna have theoretically your players. Yeah, what happens 5 matches in, you're still not winning? Exactly. You're gonna have players that don't fit the next manager's play style, and you're spending what 3, 4, 5 weeks looking for a new manager, maybe less because maybe there's a manager out there that you really want who is available right away, but that's where you have to be careful. You're the front office, and I like to think Chris Henderson and Garth Lagerwey have the foresight to recognize that. But at the same time, how much do you give Ronnie Dyla past what you have given him right now as far as margin for error? I would have to say it's not very big at this point. Very thin margins.
Yeah, it has to be a very, very thin. Again, I mean, you keep seeing folks who are canceling their season tickets and who are like, yeah, I mean, whatever. Like a lot of the fans that are just like, why should we care?
Yeah.
And that's a good question. Why should the fans care? If you had 2 DP slots open last offseason, a new coach hire, a new CSO hire, all this stuff going on, all this anticipation builds, and you have the worst season in club history outside of COVID years. Might actually be worse than that. Who knows?
No, it probably is.
But I mean, I don't know how you can trust that they are legitimately going to improve. Like, what do you have to hang on to going into 2026 that this team will be significantly better than it was this season? Because you have the same coach. Play style isn't going to change. Your DPs aren't going to change, probably, unless someone comes in and makes an offer. That'd be miraculous. Yeah, I'm not sure, man. This is a hard position to be in, and it's got to be tough for Chris Henderson and Garth Lagerwey, because they ultimately they are also kind of I don't want to say on the chopping block, but that is kind of they are in the hot seat as well. They have to answer for these things because ultimately it's their decisions that have gotten us here in the first place. And I think with Ronnie Dyla, you have to decide: are you going to sync with him? how far are you going to go with him, right? Because sure, he's the coach that you hired, and that's great that you're standing by him and you're giving him a vote of confidence. But how far does that go, right? How long will it take to admit maybe he's not the right guy if next
Yeah.
season things start slow again? And then here's the worst thing, right? Like if next season they start slow, even even if they do then decide to fire
Mhm.
him, the question is going to be, why did it take so long? It's the same question. Even if they
Yeah.
fired him today, I think the question would still be, like you said, why now?
Yeah.
It's going to be the same question if they do it
Gotta
3,
pick your
4,
point,
5 months from now, right?
Yeah.
So it's you're stuck between a rock and a hard place. But you have I don't know what's the best solution for the club at this point.
From a player acquisition standpoint, you have to hit it absolutely out of the park if you're Chris Henderson to bring in players that can elevate this team. Because I'm thinking about what Kevin Egan said with us a few weeks ago. It's an excellent point. 2026, Eyes of the World are going to be on Atlanta, Georgia for the World Cup. You have 8 matches, including the semifinal, are going to be at Mercedes-Benz Stadium or Atlanta Stadium, as it will be known legally for sponsorship purposes. And Tommy is kind of rolling his eyes at that.
I hate everything. I hate everything.
But no, along with that, I mean, it's the 10th season of Atlanta United, and it's just really snuck up on us. I feel like we were just at Bobby Dodd Stadium for the inaugural match against Red Bulls, right? And now here we are, coming up on the 10th season of Atlanta United. I feel like it's going to be a season of celebration, the season of looking back at where this club has been over the past 9 seasons, I should say. And right now, going into season 10, I don't think you can get much lower than you are right now, to be honest with you. And that's not a good place to be. If anything, to save face, if anything, to put yourself in a position where you're giving a good account of yourselves with the World Cup in your city over the summer, if that's even the reason you try to improve this team, go for it. But you absolutely cannot miss this winter on the players that are coming in for Atlanta United. We'll talk about who we think will be staying and going. I imagine the list of leaving will be much larger than the list that we think are staying, but it's going to be in Garth Lager and Chris Henderson's hands to really get players who fit for this team and can elevate this team. If you have to go outside the prime age range, so be it. If you have to get a U22 in here, so be it. Sometimes you gotta make decisions that go against what you've believed for a while. And I think this is what Garth Lagerway, I think this is what Chris Henderson are going to have to do. Don't be stubborn. Don't die on the hill of prime age players. Don't die on the hill of, we don't want to.
But they did.
Risk.
They went and got Miguel Almiron. He's 75 years old.
Yeah, but that's a different story. That's a different story. But
you went outside your comfort zone to go do something, and then we got the salary. We got his
former
salary.
player.
We said, "Holy shit!"
Well, but it worked. It was kind of a PR move in some respects.
Yeah,
fans engaged again.
I don't give a. I don't. You know what a good PR move is? Make the playoffs.
I agree. Win games, 100% agree. But I think you guys know what my point here. Miguel Almiron can't be your only prime age player outside the prime age range. Bring in players that are a little bit younger. Bring in players that are hungry. Bring in players that are before their prime, so that they could maybe develop into their prime while you're at Atlanta United and perhaps be here for years to come. Go for that. Try that strategy and see what happens, I guess. But don't dig your heels in and say, we're not going to try any other method, based on what we think works because it's worked in the past. You got to evolve. You got to grow with the league. I mean, the league's different than you were, 10 years ago. Evolve, grow, learn from your mistakes, and move forward.
For sure. And again, like we were talking about, there's plenty of that talent coming up through the twos. Several young players there that look very promising and will hopefully be homegrown players coming up in the next few seasons. Tommy
that wasn't at you. That wasn't at you. It's just I can't get excited when something like and Gray's probably like listening right now where he's behind these scarves ready to choke me. But man, like I can't get excited about the twos just because I look at the twos the way that Scrooge McDuck looks at like anything and he just sees coins, gold coins everywhere. I think that's just how our front office looks at any homegrown, just looks at him and goes, "Man, you look really good as a Gam." I don't even know what Gam looks like.
Rip
Is
Efrain
it like is it
Morales.
like the little chocolate coins? Like, like it's the gold coins. We open up, they're chocolate. Like I just don't like they just look at them as an extra source to get a little bit more money on the cap.
That approach has to
There.
change, though.
For sure.
But you've got a whole new front office and they haven't done anything
Yeah.
different. They're still doing the same things. They want to go out and get some guys when you've got some guys internally that can do the job. You had some center backs here. You paid some money on 2 center backs that you brought in, and then you went
Yeah.
out and moved some. Like I don't know.
I'm gonna be so
Yeah.
mad if they get rid of Jaden Hibbert this offseason.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be very,
Yeah.
very mad if they do that. That's
They've-
just
they've-
that's a brain dead move, man.
You'd have lost the plot, surely, if you've done that. I mean, look at how he's done since he come in. Like, again, you can't pin the goals on him that New England scored.
Tell me
Right.
one goal that he's conceded so far that's legitimately his fault.
I mean, I'll have to go back. I mean, I'm sure it's happened, but I probably can count it on my hand. He's
Not
being let down
not
if
this season for the first team, at least. I cannot
No,
think of
no.
one that has been purely like, oh yeah, that's just his technique should have been better.
Yeah.
Right. Like, oh, he should have stretched. Like we complain about Brad all the time. Shout out to Brad because
Yeah.
he's a club legend. But
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, I think he's been solid and clearly, like we keep mentioning, he has potential and he can be the guy, and he probably should be
Yeah.
the guy going in the next season, especially because goalkeeper is one of those positions. Again, and I'll keep saying this until it somehow goes into the minds of those in the front office, but like goalkeeper, it is a position that you very likely will have to spend more money on in the offseason if you want to go get someone new. It'll cost you more. It'll cost you a slot. It is a risk because you may or may not get someone that's better. There's literally no reason to go and risk it when Jaden Hibbert is showing you after several games now at the MLS level that he can ball with the big boys.
Who's your man of the match for the New England game?
Jaden
Who do you
Hibbert.
guys think? Hibbert? Tommy, who do you think? I know you saw highlights, but who do you think was man of the match?
The fans that watched all 90 minutes of it, and I'm not joking. If you watched all 90 minutes of this match, you stayed home this Saturday, you logged in at 6:30, you watched the Scarves and Spikes, the pre-show, we talk about the
Yes.
lineups, and then you got a little break, and then you watched 90 minutes of that, and then you watched these two beautiful faces on and on the takes. Is it 5 takes or 3 takes?
3
takeaways.
takeaways.
I've only been on it once, so sorry, I don't remember how many there were. But if you did all of that, you are the star of the game because you lived through it. You can say I lived through another terrible New England Atlanta United match this season. So
You deserve the
congratulations, all
golden
of you.
spike of excellence.
Right. Especially with
Yep.
everything else that's going on Saturday. I mean, Oregon Penn State. Congrats to Oregon, by the way, for winning.
Hangover is
Georgia,
still alive.
yeah.
I'm here.
Georgia, Alabama. Georgia lost, of course, to Alabama, so it's a bad night for Georgia fans. Georgia Tech won.
That was scary.
That was scary. Braves are a disaster. I mean, their season ended, but it was a tough year for them. I think they finished strong. Falcons won. Falcons won. Again, Atlanta United letting
There you go.
the Atlanta metropolitan area down. I didn't see if Georgia State won. Georgia State, did they win? I'm looking it up now. Georgia State.
Who knows?
Who knows? I don't know who they played.
But
I'm
that's
checking
the
now.
thing that MLS and we've
They're
talked
on
about
a
it for
bye.
so
They're
long.
on a bye. So
We've been talking about, like, I mean,
yeah.
right now MLS this is the part of the year where you get into the whole scheduling thing about like how hard it is for people to keep an eye on MLS when you've got such big things going on. I mean, even if Atlanta United was a good game, I was always my main focus was always going to be this Oregon game here. I mean, that's just a preference here, but like also like Georgia fans, like obviously if it was Atlanta United versus Georgia, Alabama, a lot of people are still going to pick that one. It's
Yeah.
just it's a hard time of the year for MLS to keep an eye on it. So you need to have you need to be able to keep them focused. And right now, the main market keeping everyone focused is LA. I mean, the talk of the town is LAFC right now, and that's your
It's
that's your
gonna be
favorite
a
right now.
very long night, as I told Henry earlier. I don't even want to make predictions for that one. It's just gonna be
Nah,
probably
it's
right.
probably best not to think about it.
I'm ready for it.
I didn't give you my I didn't give you guys my man of the match. I think Hibbert, because he made, I think, what, 5 saves. So it could have been a worse night for Atlanta United. I think outside of that, Almiron, I think he looked good. Henry, you talked about he created, I think, 7 chances on Saturday. And yeah, of course, it didn't lead to goals for Atlanta, but I feel like he's been better. He's shown more of the Miguel Almiron that we know and love over the past few matches here. And maybe with a rest for him, he's a little bit more like his old self. As much as his old self, he can be, of course, given his age in 2026. But I think he's improved a little bit, and that's good to see. But I feel like those are my 2 men of the match. I feel like the best of the worst from a disappointing evening in Foxborough, which is 45 minutes outside of Boston. That's my gripe with Atlanta United. They said they were in Boston on their socials. I'm like, no, you're not. You're in Foxborough, which is like way out in the open. What's up,
If
Tommy?
Hibbert's your man of the match, that's good news for the future of this team. As long as you
Yeah.
don't sell him, but you
Yeah.
want to hear that some of these players that have come in this last window could be your man of the match. And unfortunately, like, Hibbert's probably the guy that's going to end up consistently getting it here. And now, if he's the man of the match in the next 2 games,
Yeah.
that's gonna be pretty impressive considering what he's gonna be going up against.
Yeah, he's gonna need to be.
Can
Absolutely.
he deny Son Heung-min?
And his defense too.
Yeah,
You guys got anything
absolutely.
good?
But
Oh,
I was just
go
saying, I mean,
ahead. Sorry.
that is going to be exciting to see if they're able to. Oh man, that match is on Sunday. I thought it was
night.
Saturday.
9 p.m. Eastern
Sunday
time.
night soccer. Oh,
Sunday night soccer.
oh, brother.
I believe Jake Zevin and Taylor Twellman are calling that one, if I'm not
Yay,
mistaken.
they'll get to call
And you got
7 goals.
Vancouver and San Jose at 6:00. Oh, it's a doubleheader.
Or they might be calling that one. I don't know. We'll have to see the schedule. But
Yeah.
9 p.m. Eastern time, kickoff on Sunday night. Next Sunday night.
Over or under 5.5 goals in that game.
I'm taking the over. Seattle LAFC might get there themselves. Tommy, you're the betting pro. What do you think?
I mean, it's crazy. Like, I mean, you watch them play. I've watched a lot of LAFC, but like prior to him coming in, and Mongo's obviously has been as a fun player to watch. But like, this is bringing serious Miggy Joseph vibes with this combo here. This isn't Suarez Messi. You know what I mean? Like, this is a real fun group of players teaming up here, and this is only a third of the season. What happens next year? I mean, obviously, there have been talks about him leaving, Bouanga leaving here, but like, dude, you can keep these 2 here. They're going to be a dominant force in MLS, and if I'm in the West, I am praying that he ends up leaving at the end of this year. Praying that he's gone. But man, it's you need these if you want to go up against some of these big leagues here. A combo like that is something that can steal some eyes off some other sports here.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, Miguel Almiron and Latte Lath just aren't that right now. They're not that. They're not there. So maybe you could find that other winger, the guy on the left next season that can do that. We'll see.
One of many decisions that Atlanta United will need to make in the 2025
Stay tuned.
offseason. Stay tuned for more of that story. Are we missing anything? Anything else before we get out of here, guys? Tommy, you got anything else?
No,
Maybe. No. Yes.
I should be grateful that I didn't watch the entire match.
Henry, you got anything else? Any closing thoughts?
My closing thoughts are: when can this season be over? And because I think more interesting than the end of the season is going to be what happens immediately after. So we'll see.
We shall see. Henry, where are you on social media?
At HA Higita.
Tommy.
Tommy ATL 96, and also my burner account. Tommy is not soft. That. Oh wait. Oh god.
Gosh darn it.
Yeah, that. Put the explicit tag on this one on the podcast feed.
We were so close.
We almost got there. We almost got there. I forgot. I got caught up.
If you did see that on a wall, don't believe it. Don't believe it.
If you don't
Google Tommy is not soft.
Yeah, no, don't do that.
Don't do that.
Don't do
You'll see
that.
some stuff
Please
from
don't.
my earlier days. You don't need to do it.
If you don't know why we're laughing, we're not going to explain it. You'll probably get it at some point. SH Writes on X, SH Writes on Blue Sky. It's at H.Soccer on Instagram and Threads. Scarves and Spikes on Instagram and Threads. Scarves the letter N Spikes on X. Scarvesandspikes.com on Blue Sky. And of course, Facebook.com/Scarves and Spikes. Like, subscribe, share our content on YouTube, and be sure to follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and iHeart. MLS Monday, 9 p.m. Eastern Time on YouTube, and we will see you then. Tommy or Tyler, I think, will be back for that. So join us.
Sure, I'll agree.
You'll agree with what?
I don't know. Whatever you said, I couldn't hear.
Oh, it muted me again.
Yeah.
Tyler might be with us for MLS Monday. I will be here. Henry, you'll be here, I believe.
Yep.
Tommy, will you be with us?
I am actually. I don't know what I'm doing tomorrow. I am going to be on an LAFC podcast tomorrow.
Oh,
okay.
Nice. Tell them to have mercy.
Yes, please.
Let me see what I could do.
Keep it under 5-0. Under 5 goals, please.
Ask them, how does one build a successful franchise?
Can we borrow John Thornton from you, please?
Could we borrow one Hunman Son?
Want to swing a trade for Denny Buonga? You can take.
Oh, please, baby, give it to me.
No, not Sydney. We can't take Denny Buonga because he's not a prime age player.